Today's lesson is called Plus Talk, New Year's Resolutions. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
I'm referred to as Roger, and today we're going to make some New Year's resolutions for the new year, which has just arrived. It is now 2021 or 2021, however you want to call it. And today is the 7th of January, so I guess there is still time to make these New Year's resolutions, although technically I think you're supposed to make them before January 1st.
There you go. You promise that you are going to do something for yourself in the new year. Yes, starting January 1st, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I am going to improve myself somehow. By the way, that's what you do when you make a resolution. Resolution is the noun. You can also resolve to do something and use that word as a verb. Either way, you're promising that you are going to do something, and usually a New Year's resolution, that's something good that you do for yourself to improve yourself. Rarely do people make a resolution to become lazy or fat, or to become bad at something, to lose a skill. No. Normally, people make resolutions to exercise more, to read more. The list goes on and on. Anyways, yes, the subject of this month's Plus Talk dialogue is New Year's resolutions. The first part of this lesson is called Making New Year's Resolutions. I don't think Roger and I will be making any resolutions, but it looks like Chloe and Ryan might just be making some resolutions. So let's go ahead and hear from them starting now.
New Year's resolutions.
1. Making New Year's resolutions. Chloe sees Ryan writing something down in his notebook and asks what he is doing. What are you working on, Ryan?
I'm just writing down some New Year's resolutions. Jotting them down helps me visualize and stick to them more easily.
And what have you resolved to accomplish this year?
I plan to limit my social network usage and spend more time interacting with friends in person.
That's a great goal. I should do that too.
I also want to do better at lowering my carbon footprint.
I wish I had your willpower. I used to make resolutions, but stopped because I could never stick to them.
大家好，第一部分我们看到片语 jot down 表示随笔匆匆写下点点点，像是 If you pass me that pen and paper, I'll jot the address down for you. 如果你把那支笔和纸递给我，我就帮你把地址写下来。或是 Josh carries a notebook with him everywhere he goes, so he can jot down story ideas the second he thinks of them. Josh 到哪都会带着笔记本，这样他一想到故事想法就能随手记下来。接着我们看到一个单字 visualize， 这个字是动词，指想象，使形象化。例如 Jenny visualizes her success to help her achieve it. Jenny 想象成功景象有助于自己达成目标。或是 Film directors often visualize a specific scene before shooting it. 电影导演在拍摄某个场景之前，通常会先让它视觉化。另外这个字去掉字尾 ize， 就成了形容词 visual，指视觉的。举例来说 After studying visual arts, Lori went on to become a fashion designer. Lori 念完视觉艺术后，继而成为一名时装设计师。再来我们看到名词 usage， 指使用，用法。例如 Try to increase your usage of English every day. 试着每天增加你的英语使用量。或是 Unusual word usage in old books can make them difficult to understand.古书里不常见的单字用法是令人难以理解的。接下来我们看到一个单字 interact， 这个字是动词，指互动，相互交流。举例来说 As a bus driver, Gus interacts with a variety of people. 身为公车司机 Gus 与各式各样的人互动。另外这个字的字尾加上 ive 就成了形容词 interactive， 指互动的，互相作用的。例如 For more information, you can visit our company's interactive website. 若需要更多资讯， 你可以上我们公司的互动网站。再来，我们看到名词 willpower， 意思是意志力。例如 Larry needs to have willpower in order to lose some weight. Larry 必须要有意志力才能减肥成功。
Okay, so it's all about making New Year's resolutions. Now, Chloe sees Ryan writing something down in his notebook and asks what he is doing. Hey, Ryan, I see you jotting something down in a notebook. What is that? May I ask what you are doing?
Oh, what are you doing there? What are you writing in your notebook? Chloe asks. What are you working on, Ryan? And Ryan says, I'm just writing down some New Year's resolutions. So there you go. We don't know about Chloe quite yet, but Ryan is thinking about his New Year's resolutions. Jotting them down helps me visualize and stick to them more easily. Now, sometimes you make a rough drawing of something. It's not complete, okay? It's not totally detailed. That's called sketching a drawing. When you're writing something down, though, okay, and you're kind of sketching out your ideas, you can say that you are jotting something down.
Yep, that is a two-word verb phrase, to jot down something or to jot something down. You can say it both ways. However, here he says he's going to jot these notes down on a piece of paper, I guess so that he can remember them. Or, as he says, it helps him visualize and stick to them more easily. So yeah, visualize. Try to actually see it in your mind. Yes, sometimes if you write things down, your mind learns it faster. They often say this is a good tool for memorizing vocabulary. If you just sit down and write the words down on a piece of paper, one after the other, or write them many times, you jot them down to visualize them, to actually see them in your mind. And then in this particular case, you can stick to your New Year's resolutions more easily. To stick to something means that you don't break your promise. You do as you say you're going to do.
Yeah, you don't quit early. You keep doing that thing. You continue to do that thing, even though it might be a tough thing to do. One note on the word visualize. You can imagine something. Usually, though, when you imagine something, you might be seeing something in your mind that doesn't exist. That could be the case. You could be imagining a unicorn or something like that. When you're visualizing something, though, you're seeing something in your mind that actually exists. Like you might visualize where you are in your house. And you might visualize, oh, there's the kitchen. I know how to get to the kitchen. Oh, there's the exit. There's the door. That's how I get out of my apartment. So on and so forth. You can actually see that real thing in your mind. And it says here that Ryan, he jots stuff down because it helps him to visualize things. These are the things that I am actually going to do. I know how I'm going to do them, and I'm seeing them all in my head. I am visualizing them. Now, Chloe says, and what have you resolved to accomplish this year? Now, earlier I said you either make a resolution, and there the word resolution is a noun, or you can also resolve to do something, and there the word resolve is being used as a verb.
Yep, you could resolve to climb to the top of Yushan, or Jade Mountain. You tried to climb it before, but it got too cold, so you had to quit before you got to the top. But now you're going to resolve to climb that mountain this year and be successful. And that's Chloe's question. Yeah, what is your resolution for this year? What have you resolved to accomplish this year? And Ryan says, I plan to limit my social network usage and spend more time interacting with friends in person. So he's going to limit his social network usage, okay? Social networks, of course, are those websites that we visit all the time, like Facebook and Twitter, etc., etc. And usage here just refers to when you actually use something. We could talk about water usage or electricity usage during the summer. It goes up during the summer. Electricity usage increases in the summer because of all the air conditioners turned on.
So instead of contacting them on Facebook, hey, let's go ahead and interact in person. Let's meet up and have an actual conversation, hang out, do things together. I think that this is a good thing. Young people very often these days do spend way too much time on their smartphones. It would do them well to interact with their friends in person, face to face. By the way, when you do interact with the person, you're talking to that person, they're listening to you, they're giving you feedback, and it goes back and forth like that. You can also interact with your devices. Whenever you launch an app on your iPhone, let's say, you are interacting with that device. You go ahead and give it an input, some instructions, and it does something for you. It interacts with you in that way.
That sounds like a very noble resolution there. And Chloe says, well, that's a great goal. I should do that too. I should limit my social network usage and interact with my friends more in person. Well, Ryan says, well, I also want to do better at lowering my carbon footprint. Your footprint, of course, is the image that you leave on the ground when you walk over dirt or something like that. But in this particular case, your carbon footprint is basically how much carbon you are responsible for putting into the atmosphere. So yeah, if you drive your car all the time and you only have one passenger, yourself, in the car, then you have a pretty big carbon footprint. But if you walk or ride your bicycle, you have a low carbon footprint or a small one, and you're not really polluting the air so much.
Anyways, Chloe says, I wish I had your willpower, Ryan. I used to make resolutions but stopped because I could never stick to them. So there you go, Chloe. She used to make resolutions all over the place, all the time around the New Year's, but then she stopped doing so because she never followed through on her resolutions. She could never stick to them. She just doesn't have the willpower or the determination that Ryan does.
Or the perseverance, just your ability to keep doing something and not quitting. So yes, indeed, he does have some great willpower here, and she doesn't seem to fulfill her promises to herself, and she wishes she had his willpower. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first conversation for today. Let's now move on to the second one, a failed attempt at keeping New Year's resolutions.
2. A failed attempt at keeping New Year's resolutions. Chloe shares her failed attempts at keeping New Year's resolutions.
What kinds of New Year's resolutions have you made in the past?
One year, I resolved to train for a full marathon, write a novel, and learn Russian.
That's a lot to try to accomplish in 1 year, especially if you're just starting out.
It didn't seem like it at first, but by the time February rolled around, I already felt exhausted and lost interest.
I probably would have lost interest too if I'd set myself those goals.
So, in the end, I quit and felt pretty bad about myself for giving up.
最后第二部分，我们看到片语 roll around， 表示时间、节日或事件的开始。举例来说 ，When lunchtime rolled around, the hungry students headed to the cafeteria. 午餐时间到的时候，饥肠辘辘的学生们前往自助餐厅。或是 I'm planning to take a road trip to 花莲 when the next holiday rolls around. 下个假期开始时，我计划要来趟花莲的公路之旅。另外，补充一个同义片语 come around， 我们可以说 When spring comes around each year, I start going on lots of hikes. 每年春天到时，我就会开始常去踏青。
Okay, now I did say that when you make a New Year's resolution, that it should be somewhat challenging to you, but you can go overboard, and we're going to talk about that next, okay? The second part of our lesson this month is called A Failed Attempt at Keeping New Year's Resolutions. Now, it says that Chloe shares her failed attempts at keeping New Year's resolutions. We just heard from Ryan. He's got some great resolutions, and Chloe is kind of impressed by his willpower, his ability to stick to his resolutions. And now it's time for Ryan to start asking Chloe some questions about her resolutions. Okay, Ryan says, what kinds of New Year's resolutions have you made in the past? And Chloe answers him by saying, one year, I resolved to train for a full marathon, write a novel, and learn Russian. Now, I think I see the problem here again. A New Year's resolution should be challenging, but you can go overboard, okay? Training for a full marathon, that's tough. Writing a novel, that's tough. Learning Russian, if you're not Russian, is tough. So why would you pick such challenging resolutions, one on top of the other? It doesn't make sense. There's no way you can do all three of those things. By the way, a marathon is a long-distance race. I believe it's 26.2 miles or around 42 kilometers long.
So yeah, her ambitions in the past were a little bit too ambitious, unrealistic. And Ryan says, well, that's a lot to try to accomplish in 1 year, especially if you're just starting out. Okay, yeah, learning Russian is difficult. That's perhaps one of the most difficult languages to learn in the world. A marathon is no easy feat, as you know, Jeff. You've run a couple of them yourself. And writing a novel, boy, that's tough too. And Chloe says, well, it didn't seem like it at first, but by the time February rolled around, I already felt exhausted and lost interest. So here we've got the phrase to roll around. If we're talking about time, that just basically means when a future time becomes the present. By the time next week rolls around, I will be in Kaohsiung, for example.
When February arrived, for Chloe, she already felt exhausted and she lost interest. She burned out on her resolutions, so she just quit because she didn't have the energy to pursue her resolutions any longer. By the way, yes, if you are exhausted, you are extremely tired, okay? Exhaustion would be the noun, and it goes well beyond simple tiredness or fatigue. If you're exhausted, you just have no energy left. Now, Ryan says, I probably would have lost interest too if I'd set myself those goals. Yeah, if I had done that, if I had set myself up for failure like that, I probably would have given up as well.
Those goals are a little bit unrealistic. And Chloe says, so in the end, I quit and felt pretty bad about myself for giving up. And this probably happens to a lot of people when they make New Year's resolutions, especially when they want to lose weight. They want to, say, lose 5 pounds in a month or something. And by the time February rolls around, they haven't lost 1 pound. In fact, they've gained weight. So then they get frustrated, they hate themselves, and then they give up. But don't worry, there is still room for improvement with your English in the new year. I'm pretty sure you will improve by listening to our program and by listening to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny， 我们来看今天的文法重点。好，在第一段对话里面 Chloe 听完 Ryan 的新年新希望，他就说 I wish I had your willpower。 好，这边我们来学习这个 wish 的假设用法哦。用 wish 来表达不太可能实现的愿望时，它后面所接的子句要用假设法。好，首先我们在表达跟现在事实相反的愿望时， wish 后面的子句要用过去式，那它的句型就是主词 wish 再加上 that， 主词加上 were 或者是过去式动词。然后特别注意，如果 wish 后面的子句我们要用 be 动词表达的话，不管主词人称是哪一个 be 动词一律都用 were。 举例来说 I wish It weren't raining now. 我希望现在没有下雨。有没有注意到我们是用 it weren't 而不是 it wasn't？ 好，再来我们再造个例句。 I wish I had a magic wand. 我真希望有一支魔法棒。那事实是我没有魔法棒嘛，所以我们这边用假设法 I wish I had a magic wand. 好，如果是要表达跟过去事实相反的愿望时 wish 之后的子句我们是要用过去完成式来表达。那它的句型是主词 wish加上 that 再加主词 had 再加过去分词 pp。 例如I wish I hadn't told her the secret. 我真希望当时没有把秘密告诉她，那可惜已经讲出去了，所以这是在讲跟过去的事件相反的状况哦。好，在第二段对话里 Ryan 听完 Chloe 某一年帮自己定的目标，那么 Ryan 就说I probably would have lost interest too if I'd set myself those goals. 我们知道 Ryan 过去并没有定下那一些目标，他只是在假设说如果当时他定下那些目标的话，他大概也会失去兴趣。好，那这个句子呢，它就是用 if 来表达跟过去事实相反的假设语气。那它用到的句型是像这样 if 主词加上 had 再加过去分词 pp，逗号主词加上 would、could、might 或是 should 再加 have 加 pp。 那在这个句型里面，我们 if 子句是用过去完成式，那么主要子句是用 could、would、might、should 去搭配完成式。例如 If Ben had studied harder, he might have gotten a higher score. 如果 Ben 之前有用功一点的话，他可能就会得高分。那言下之意就是说 Ben 之前过去他并没有用功读书，我们只是在假设情况。好，顺便补充一下，如果你是要表达跟现在事实相反的假设语气，那它的句型是 if 主词加上过去式动词或是加上 were， 逗号主词加上 would、could、might、should 再加原形动词。好，在这个句型里面，我们 if 子句是用过去式表达。那同样的跟刚刚讲那个 wish 的状况一样，如果你动词是要用 be 动词的话，不管人称一律都是用 were。 好，那么 if 子句呢，如果要用助动词的话，则必须使用过去式助动词哦。那么主要子句的部分，我们则是用过去式助动词 could、would、might、should 再去搭配原形动词。例如 If I were a bird, I would fly to every corner of the world. 如果我是一只鸟，会飞去世界的各个角落。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Resolution. The brothers made a resolution not to fight with each other anymore. Usage. The data is being used to track the usage of digital devices in the classroom. Interact. Teenagers interact with each other outside the home less than they used to. Marathon. Elise trained hard for 6 months before running the marathon. Exhausted. All of the children were exhausted after their trip to the zoo.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you guys enjoyed reading and learning along with us. I am Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.